Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Jana Vallabha Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our weekly Krishna Fest. It's a little bit changed because of our coronavirus pandemic, but we're still presenting our weekly talk on the science of Bhakti Yoga. And this week we've chosen as a topic the Vaikuntha, the spiritual world, the place beyond all anxiety. And I'm going to read a little bit from the 15th chapter, beginning of the 15th chapter in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So on this 21st day of June, 2020 in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And I'm going to kind of paraphrase the first few verses because in the 6th verse, Krishna describes the spiritual world, that Vaikuntha place what is the subject matter of our talk tonight. And so I'll summarize, I'll give first the Sanskrit and then read some of the English translation here. Shri Bhagavano Vacha, this is text 1. Urdvamulamatakshakam Ashvatam Prahurabhyayam Chandangsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavit. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. And Srila Prabhupada explains, this is a analogy or metaphor in which the Supreme Lord Krishna is comparing this material world to an inverted banyan tree. Now, those of you who may have seen a banyan tree, there's one in Balboa Park, and they can be very, very, with many, many branches, and they branch out and then put out new roots, and it can become almost like a little forest unto itself. And so that's what Krishna is describing here. He says in the next verse, the branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the object of the senses. The tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruit of actions of human society. So the idea is that our entanglement in this material world has created a great entangling tree of attachment and aversion and aspiration and birth and death, and we're constantly going from one branch of this tree to another, but we can't really find a place of peace or satisfaction in this tree. And so Krishna says in the 3rd and 4th verses, the real form of the tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon or axe of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. So the key thing is to develop this sense of detachment, but it can't be done in a vacuum. Detachment, as Srila Prabhupada explains in this purport and many other places, is only possible when we transfer our natural attachment back to Krishna and to, first of all, understanding our real nature as not belonging to this material world and developing our Krishna consciousness. But that begins with the process of surrender, and that's the 5th verse. Nirmana mohan chita sangha dosha hadyatma nitya vinavritta kama dvanvar vimukta sukadukka sangha gachancha mudha padamam vyayang tat. And then now here is the essence of the process of surrender. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who unbewildered know how to surrender under the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. Now, that sounds pretty difficult to achieve. And it is if you just take it all at once and you try to surrender all at once. But actually, the process of devotional service, beginning with the chanting of the holy name, Lord Chaitanya has come, as Krishna himself, and made this process easy and happy for us by the easy process of chanting the holy name. This develops these qualities, free from false prestige. Many of you may be familiar with that verse in the Shikshastika. Trinadapi sunichena, tororapi sahishnana, amanina manadena, kirtaniyak sadahari. More humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, to think all praise belongs to others, none belongs to me. Such qualities attract the Lord to bless one with the power to his name incessantly until the final hour. So this is the qualification for chanting the holy name successfully, is to really feel oneself helpless in this material world and as insignificant as a blade of grass and needing shelter. This is the main quality that we can perceive, and it's one of the blessings of the Kali Yuga. It's so difficult in this age. Who expected this pandemic to come and undermine everything, disrupt everyone's lives, and kill so many people and threaten so many people? It has created so much anxiety and so much distress, and we don't know what's going to happen. So this is the nature of this material world on an individual level as well as a mass level. Nothing is sure in this world. Everything is tottering. Sometimes it's described like a drop of water on the leaf of a lotus and petal of a lotus in a river. Or sometimes it's described as an ocean of birth and death. And in an ocean, where is the security? You're floating in some boat there, even if it's a big cruise ship. All of a sudden, the pandemic starts and you're trapped on the cruise ship and it becomes a death ship. So there's no place in this world that's really secure. And so what Bhagavad Gita teaches us is that the security is really at Krishna's lotus feet. And that's what this is all about. Now, the next verse describes the spiritual world. And we're going to read this purport and explore it. Natadbhasiyate suryo nashashanko napavakaha yadgatbana navartante tadama padamang mama. That supreme abode of mine, says Krishna, is not illuminated by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. Purport. The spiritual world, the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, which is known as Krishnaloka, Goloka Vrindavan, is described here. In the spiritual world, there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, fire, or electricity, because all the planets there are self-luminous. We have only one planet in this universe, the sun, which is self-luminous, but all the planets in the spiritual sky are self-luminous. The shining effulgence of those planets, called Vaikunthas, the place of no anxiety, constitutes the shining sky known as the Brahma Jyoti. Actually, the effulgence is emanating from the planet of Krishna, Goloka Vrindavan. Part of that shining effulgence is covered by the Mahatattva, the material world. Other than this, the major portion of that shining sky is full of spiritual planets, which are called Vaikunthas, chief of which is Goloka Vrindavan. That's Krishna's home planet. That's where the gopis are and the cows and the cowherd boys. And as long as a living entity is in this dark material world, he is in conditional life. But as soon as he reaches the spiritual sky, by cutting through the false, perverted tree of this material world, he becomes liberated. Then there is no chance of his coming back here. In this conditioned life, the living entity considers himself to be the lord of this material world. But in his liberated state, he enters into the spiritual kingdom and becomes an associate of the Supreme Lord. There he enjoys eternal bliss, eternal life, and full knowledge. One should be captivated by this information. He should desire to transfer himself to that eternal world and extricate himself from this false reflection of reality. For one who is too much attached to this material world, it is very difficult to cut that attachment. But if he takes to Krishna consciousness, there is a chance of gradually becoming detached. One has to associate with devotees, those who are in Krishna consciousness. One should search out a society dedicated to Krishna consciousness and learn how to discharge devotional service. And that's what this International Society for Krishna Consciousness is all about. In this way, we can cut off one's he can cut off his attachment to the material world. One cannot become detached from the attraction of the material world simply by dressing oneself in saffron cloth. One must become attached to the devotional service of the Lord. Therefore, one should take it very seriously that devotional service, as described in the 12th chapter, is the only way to get out of this false representation of the real world. In chapter 14, the contamination of all kinds of processes by material nature is described. Only devotional service is described as purely transcendental. The word paramam mama in this verse about the spiritual world are very important here. Actually, every nook and corner is the property of the Supreme Lord, but the spiritual world is paramam, full with 6 opulences. That's Krishna's unlimited wealth, knowledge, strength, beauty, fame, and detachment or renunciation. The Katha Upanishad also confirms that in the spiritual world there's no need of sunshine, moonshine, or stars. Natatta suryo bhati na chandra tarakam. For the whole spiritual sky is illuminated by the internal potency of the Supreme Lord. That supreme abode can be achieved only by surrender to Krishna and by no other means. So, now one of the things I wanted to bring out is that this description of the spiritual world can also apply to this world when we make a place in which only service to Krishna is being engaged, is being done. That's the nature of the spiritual world. So the sense of the freedom from anxiety and freedom from misery can be experienced in this world proportionate to our surrender, to our sincerity in practicing the principles of devotional service. Yes, it's difficult because we've been conditioned for so many lifetimes to think of ourselves as this body, to try to exploit this material world, to try to enjoy the flickering sense gratification that's available in this world. But all of those are simply Maya's trick to keep us bound in this world. But as soon as we surrender to Krishna, as he says in the 7th chapter, Daiviyeshu gunamaye mama maya doratyaya mame viye papadyante maya metang tarantite, that this material world is divine in the sense of it's my energy. Therefore, he calls it Daivi. And it's composed of these modes of material nature, which Prabhupada referred to in one of the purport, and in the last chapter, we heard about that. This is the 15th chapter. How the modes of nature, goodness and passion and ignorance, compose this material world and bind us with various combinations of attractions and repulsions. So Krishna says, this divine nature of mine is impossible to cross over on one's own. Even if we understand the basic philosophy that we're spirit, not matter, if we have no process for detaching ourselves from Maya and becoming attached to the transcendence in the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we can never overcome this. Even if we are able to rise up to the transcendental platform, if we haven't developed our devotion to Krishna, we'll eventually come back here because we crave some kind of relationship. So the process of Krishna consciousness creates a Vaikuntha atmosphere even in this world when we are associating with devotees, practicing devotional service, worshiping the deity. In other words, when we're Krishnizing our life, as Srila Prabhupada called it. Krishna is simply waiting for us to turn back to him. And in each age, he has a Yuga Dharma that's just suitable for the people of this age. Kali Yuga is said to be a very difficult place for practicing any kind of yoga. Right at the beginning of the Bhagavatam, in the first chapter, it described Prayanalpaya Shaksabha Kalavasman Yugejana Manda samanda matayo manda bhagya yupadruta. That in this age, for the most part, people don't live very long. They are unfortunate, they're misguided, they're unlucky, and mostly they're always disturbed. And we can see how disturbed people's minds are. What's going to happen next? Is there going to be a crash? Is there going to be a war? Am I going to get the virus? What about my kids? What about my grandma? You know, there's always something to agitate the mind, keep the mind focused on the dangers and sometimes the pleasures of this material world. So that's the nature of this Kali Yuga. But Krishna, understanding how unqualified we are and difficult it is, has come in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to bestow the easiest process, the chanting of the holy name of Krishna, especially the Hare Krishna mantra, the Maha mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And Srila Prabhupada, as his courageous emissary, came to this country in New York in the middle of the 60s, in the hippie era, and he was his mission was to fulfill not only Lord Chaitanya's prediction, but the desire of his own spiritual master, that he take the science as it is outside of India and teach it in the English language, because English is the predominant language of the world in many ways, and he knew that if he could crack the English-speaking world, then it would spread all over the world, and it's turned out to be true. And he was so keen to give this knowledge in the form of books that would last and that would be present the knowledge as it is, because part of the Kali Yuga is that there's something genuine and there'll be distortion and cheating in order to exploit the knowledge, and it happened with the Bhagavad Gita. So if the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's own words, are not presented in the proper spirit by a devotee of Krishna, then they misguide or they confuse, and the desired result isn't there, which is surrender to Krishna, as we learn at the very end of the Bhagavad Gita when Krishna sums up the whole teachings in 2 verses, which I'll share with you. So the idea is that now more than ever, we are feeling the need for that place beyond anxiety, somehow to come to a position where we can face the difficulties, the unknown difficulties of this world, as disruptions, economic upheavals, and so many things. We need to have a source of solace that we can always rely on, and that has to be spiritual. It's not dependent on some material configuration or anything. And so Krishna consciousness can provide that, and is providing that for thousands and thousands of people all over the world. And the Bhagavad Gita, as it is, of course, we have classes 3 nights a week. You're welcome to come either or visit us online. We can share how you can do that. And Bhagavad Gita is, Prabhupada says one needs to associate oneself with the devotees, with the process of devotional service. So how to do that? There's the best way is actually to read Srila Prabhupada's books, because when you read his books, you're associating with him. All of us have experienced that. How when you get into a novel or some absorbing literature, you're actually associating very closely with the author. The author has put his thought in there, his personality, and you're being affected by their thoughts and by their emotions. So Srila Prabhupada is channeling, if you will, Krishna's teachings, giving them as they are, and he himself has realized the goal of the teachings, of course. And so they have a great potency of enlightening us and inspiring us to take up the process of devotional service, because it's just like we're walking around in a fog or a distorting bubble that doesn't allow us to see reality. We cannot understand with spirit. We cannot see the divine in everything. Krishna is all pervading through the super soul and through his energies. But we forgot all of that. This is our disease. Having turned our back on Krishna, we've come to this world, and this is the origin of fear, which is another way of saying anxiety. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the great Yogendras, the sage sons of Lord Rishabdev, they teach the King Nimi the ultimate goal of life and the process for attaining it. And the first teaching is, how can we overcome fear? How can we get to that place beyond anxiety and fear? So he gives the verse describing the source of that anxiety and fear, because the natural state of every soul is to be very secure and happy and blissful, eternally situated in this spiritual world that we just read about. Vaikunthas, of which there are many kinds, the highest of which, the Vaikuntha planet, is Goloka Vrindavan, where Krishna's original form, two-handed form, plays the flute and famously cavorts with the gopis and his gopas and the cows and his mother and father, and all the beautiful relationships are there. And there's no passage of time. There's no past, there's no future. It's only the eternal present. That's our ultimate goal. But how did we leave there? Why did we leave? So it's described, bhayam dvitiyabhinaveshatakshad ishadapetasya viparhiyo smritihi. That fear arises as soon as we turn away from Krishna and we become absorbed in this material world and try to exploit it, and we identify with it and so forth. And this is what it says there, that viparya, our conception of ourselves, is reversed. Instead of seeing ourselves as servants of the Supreme, as friends or servants or parents or any of different rasas, we forget all about God. Ishada petasya, turning away from the Isha, the Supreme Controller, and viparyo asmriti, we forget everything. This is the effect of Maya, tanmayato. So one has to be intelligent. One has to be dhira, means sober-minded. And therefore, as a tanmaya, Buddha, intelligent, Buddha abhajait tam, worships that same Lord that we turned away from so many eons ago. How to worship, how to relate, bhakti-aikayesham, with unalloyed devotion, no motivation, because we have a material motivation that'll keep us bound to this world. But Guru Deva Tatma, and the relationship with the preceptor is so important. Krishna says in so many places, you need to approach me through my representatives. Guru Deva Tatma, seeing him as a divine representative of the Lord, as one's very self and master. So that's the essence of surrender. Is first you surrender to the servant of the Lord, considering self, and you take up the process of hearing and chanting, remembering, serving, the 9 processes of devotional service, as taught by Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, given to us by Srila Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion, and practiced in institution like this Krishna consciousness movement. And so in that way alone, can one develop detachment from this world. Remember, we have to have that sword of detachment to cut off our entanglement in this material world, which is like a big banyan tree. So you can't go from branch to branch and think you're making some adjustment. It has to be a wholesale detachment, and that's why you cut off the root. And that process is Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga. So we can have the Vaikuntha. The point of my talk here is that sense of freedom from anxiety. The more that we see ourselves as spiritual beings, eternal, indestructible, we cannot be hurt, we cannot be, killed. Najayate mriyate bhakadacha. And we live that life, and we actually see ourselves that way and live a Krishna conscious life, trying to engage our senses and the things of this world and others in Krishna service, glorifying, enjoying the process of Sankirtan, which is so enlivening to the soul. Really, it takes one right out of this world. We can have the sense of Vaikuntha even in this world of woe and difficulty and illusion. So that's why I chose this topic, because it's not that we have to think, oh boy, it's trillions of miles away, and what can I do? I'm just a soul in this world, completely attached. I don't have the qualifications. We all have the qualifications if we simply are sincere and start where we are and begin the process of chanting and hearing, especially the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, associating with devotees. What you see, what you read, what you associate, what you eat, all of these things can be done in a Krishna conscious way. And if you're willing to undergo some changes in your life and take up the process seriously, then you feel it right away, and very quickly you'll feel the solace and the peace that comes from being Krishna conscious, even partially in your lifetime. And so this is the urgency of the time. Certainly, Krishna consciousness can uh, uh, cure the ills of society as well as individually. And Srila Prabhupada wanted us to practice sincerely and to spread the science of Krishna consciousness. And that is really the best way to feel closeness to Krishna, is by doing work, doing something for the spreading of Krishna consciousness, appreciating oneself first, and then trying to give this to others. And that's what this whole movement is based on. And we're still here, and Radha Giridhari are beautifully giving us shelter. And eventually this pandemic will be over, and we'll be able to open our gates again, open our doors for kirtan, everyone dancing and chanting, and the festivals. Unfortunately, we may miss this year, but this is Krishna's way of teaching us that this is not our home, and that we miss so much the facilities that have been given to us. So I'd like to share a little more about the spiritual world. The literature, the Srimad Bhagavatam, is filled with descriptions of Krishna in Vrindavan, in Goloka Vrindavan, and the replica when he came, he brought that same. All of the pastimes are going on eternally in the spiritual world, and he demonstrated them 5,000 years ago. And in a book called the Brahma Samhita, there's which is like a summary of the philosophy of the Bhagavatam. This was found by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was in South India, and he was very eagerly copied it, or had it copied, and brought it back with him when he returned back to Puri, Jagannath Puri, along with a book called the Krishna Karnamrita. Both of them he saw as great treasures. Krishna Karnamrita is a book written by Bilvamangal Thakur. The word Krishna Karnamrita means nectar for Krishna's ears. Now you can imagine how intimate he was with Krishna, that he could write a book and be confident that what he was writing, Krishna was enjoying. This was how advanced he was. But really it is a flood of nectar, this book, both of them really. So in the Brahma Samhita, the prayers of Brahma, he has several verses there. First at the beginning of his song called the Samhita, and then at the end there's a summary that really gives a nice description of Goloka Vrindavan. So I'll share some of the ones at the beginning, really beautiful, very famous amongst devotees. It's a Chintamani Pakadasadma Sukalpa Vriksha Lakshavati Susurabhira Bipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambrahma Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So that line at the end there, that's repeated through all the verses of this Samhita. And what it means is, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord. And it describes that in his land, it's made of Chintamani Pakadasadan Masu, that there's a substance called Chintamani, which is a special. Chintamani means a consciousness gem. Prabhupada describes it like a philosopher's stone, that it touched things and turned them to gold. But the land is made of Chintamani, and these abodes there are made of Chintamani. A sudden kalpa vriksha, and there's these desire trees, because everything there is conscious. This is something that we have no experience of. Here we're surrounded by dull matter that's animated sometimes, by the presence of spirit in the form of the spirit soul. But there's so much lower energy. It's called the material energy. Krishna explains in the 7th chapter. But in the spiritual world, it's all spirit. The kalpa vrikshas are the trees there are conscious as the cows or the so-called human beings. So these kalpa vrikshas means you can get any fruit, completely organic, tree ripened, perfect, any kind of fruit in any season, and offer it to Krishna. So there's all these kalpa vriksha trees, and the land is made of Chintamani, the bows are made of Chintamani gems. Kalpa vriksha lakshavateshu surabhir. And there's thousands of the Surabhi cows, which give as much quantity of milk as you want. They're so happy that they're pouring some milk on the ground; it becomes moist. So to be at Abhipalayantam, and Krishna has taken his role as a cowherd boy. And Lakshmi Sahasrashata Sambrama Sevyamanam. And there's thousands and thousands of gopis who are really Lakshmis, goddesses of fortune, who are always serving him with great love and veneration. And then what does Krishna do? Venum Karnantam. He's playing upon that flute. Adavinda Dalaya Taksham. With petals, eyes just like the petals of a lotus. Uh, Adavinda Dalaya Taksham Barhava Tanksam. Of course, he has a beautiful peacock plume on his head. Asitambuda Sundarangam. Very beautiful, all attractive form, colored like a fresh rain cloud. Kandarpakotikamaniya. He's so attractive that he's attracting all millions of cupids. In other words, he's so attractive that he can enchant our mind away from the sex god. That's the idea. Kandabhakoti Kamani Vishesha Shobham, and there's so many wonderful details of his beauty, how he's wearing the Vaijayanti garland and the silken dhoti which shines like yellow gold. And so and then it describes Alola Chandakalasad Vanamalya Bangsi. His peacock plume is swaying. Al Chandakalasad Vanamalya Bangshi. He's got a garland of flowers that it's like a Vaijayanti garland that swings down to his knees, very fragrant, made of different forest flowers. Vanamalya, Bangshi Ratnangadam, of course, he's playing that flute. He's got jeweled ornaments, the earrings, and the necklaces, and the armlets, and the bangles, and the ankle bells, sweetly tinkling. Ratna Pranayakeli Kalavilasam, and he's always enjoying these pastimes of love with the gopis, and in this way meditating on Govinda. And then it goes on describing various points, and at the end he has a nice description of the spiritual world, this Goloka Vrindavan, which is the supreme Vaikuntha planet. And it says there, and Prashya Kanta Kanta Padamaparusha Kalpadadavo Dhruma Bhumi Chinda Managanamahi Toyamapatam. Kata Ganam Natyam Gamanam Apivangshi Piyasaki Chidanandam Majoti Padamapita Dasvajamapicha Sayatra Kshirabdi Srabadita Babinjast Sumahan Namesha Dakyo Babachadinihiyatra Pisamayak Bhaje Shweta Dvipam Tamahami Hagolokamitiyam Vidandaste Sandakshiti Vitachara Katipaye. So first it says, Shriya Kanta Padamaparusha, that the beloveds of Krishna there are all goddesses of fortune. Shriya Kanta Padama, and the lover of all of them is the Supreme Personality of God, Padamapurusha. Kalpatadavo Dhruma. The trees there are not just ordinary trees, they're desire trees, these Kalpavriksha. Chintamani Ganamahi, the land is made of Chintamani. The water is made of nectar. There's no talking there. Every utterance is a song. Every step is a dance. And one can always hear Krishna's dear flute playing delightfully in the background. Priyasaki. And Chidanandam Jyoti, everything is effulgent. We read about how the Vaikuntha planets are self-effulgent. So everything there is effulgent with this Chidananda Jyoti, this spiritual bliss potency, which one can taste. The senses are interchangeable there. You can look at something and eat it just as Krishna can. You have that same. So you're tasting this spiritual bliss that's emanating from everything. And there are many cows are flooding the land with milk. And then this very important statement: not a second passes away. There's no past, there's no future. There's only the eternal present. And that means there's no old age, there's no death, there's no rebirth. It's just every day is a new adventure, varieties of ways of interacting with Krishna in our specific relationship, as Shantaras, as passive, just waiting to be used like the flute, or active servant or friend, or parent or lover. These are the 5 basic rasas. So that's going on eternally, and that's our home. That's the place beyond any tinge of anxiety, because we're safely there, situated at Krishna's lotus feet in our natural position. So we all came from there, and we all want to go back there. Prabhupada's famous phrase, "Go back home, back to Godhead." I once searched for that in the Veda base. There's hundreds and hundreds of times in which he uses that, and of course, it's the name of the magazine also. So we should aspire for it. One should be captivated by this information. In other words, this world is a dream world. It's not what it seems. Every aspiration to have happiness or security in this world is like a mirage. It looks real. We strive for it, but when we get to it, it it's not what we expected. And ultimately, it's all simply an illusion. We have to leave it. We're taken away from this world by death. Krishna says, "Mrityu sabhaharas that in death I take everything away." So, what's the point of aspiring for anything in this world, not just this earth world, but anywhere in the material planets? You may aspire to go to the Indraloka or higher loka, attain this power, that power, but it's fool's gold. It looks like but something valuable, but it's ultimately less than valuable. It's harmful. Our aspiration for anything material is the source of our attachment, keeps us attached to this world. So what's the solution? Again, to cultivate our natural attachment for Krishna, and he is ready to help us. He's within everyone's heart. As soon as he sees that we're sincerely beginning devotional service, especially by the hearing process, then he starts cleansing away all of the unwanted things we've developed, the attachments, the lust, the anger, the illusions, and attracts us to him. That's the very meaning of the word Krishna. When we chant his name, especially in this age, he's made himself available through his name. We're associating directly with Krishna. And the more that we chant with attention and we understand what we're doing, and as a program of devotional service, the more we'll feel quick benefit, and we'll be attached to things spiritual, attached to Krishna, and our seemingly impossible to break attachment to this world will loosen. And so that's what this movement, and that's what this process is all about. And we're inviting you. Now it's more through the internet, but still you can stay involved, mostly by reading books, chanting the holy name, tuning in when you can to the events we have every morning. We have our classes we share, and in the evening, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we have 7:15, 8:15. You're welcome. And we're having these Sunday programs now. You can come and see the beautiful deities of Radha Giridhari. Every day I come, from my little apartment about half a block away, and when those deities open up and for the daytime, at 7:15, I'm sure that's also televised, right, or transmitted. So there's various prayers that I can share with you. For Gaur Nitai, there's a beautiful prayer that's in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, beginning 2 chapters, or 2, I think, of the Kandas begin. Ajanulambidabajo kanakavadato sankirtanaka pitaro kamalaya taksho vishwambaro dvijavaro yugadharma paro bhande jagatpriyakaro karunavataro. So he's meditating on Gaur Nitai. Vrindavan Das Thakur wrote this verse. He's a disciple of Nityananda, and so he has very much information in his Chaitanya Bhagavat, which he wrote. So they have just the way their body is constructed indicates they have great personalities. So one is as their knees are reaching their hands are reaching their knees when their arms are extended. Ajano Lambida Kanagava Dato, beautiful golden effulgence, both Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. Sankirtanayaka Pitaro, they are the true fathers of the Sankirtan movement. Kamalaya Taksho, beautiful lotus petal eyes. The maintainers of the whole universe, as Krishna and Balaram, Vishwambaro, Dvijavaro, the best of Brahmins. Yugadharma Palo, the protectors of the Yugadharma, the congregational chanting of the holy name. Vande, I offer my obeisance. Vande Jagat Priyakaro, those who can delight everyone in this universe by who take part in their Sankirtan movement. Karunavataro, the very incarnations of compassion, of the most compassionate incarnations. And then we move to the central altar, and there's so many prayers you can offer to Radha Giridhari. I always offer this one prayer. I can share it with you if you're interested. Pashupala Vadinyanandano Vadametang Moharati Heyuvam Babatu Panayo Bave Bave Babato Reva Patambujeshame. O Radha Krishna, children of the best of cowherd men, this single boon I beg from you again and yet again. In all the countless births my endless sins will make me meet. Let all my love flow toward your luscious lustrous lotus feet. And then there's usually time for a few more. And of course, there's Govardhan. Giri Govardhan is there. Namaste Girirajaya Shri Govardhan Namane Shesha Klesha Nashaya Padamananda Dayini. It's a wonderful meditation. I offer my obeisances unto the chief of all mountains named Govardhan, the king of mountains. Namaste Girirajaya Shri Govardhan Namane Ashesha Klesha Nashaya. He destroys endless difficulties and miseries in this world when we meditate on him and when we pray to him and worship. Padamana destroys all the miseries and bestows the highest bliss. Padamananda Dayini. And then if I have time, there's a beautiful verse about Srimati Radharani, how she captivates Krishna, who is Jagan Mohan, who captivates everyone in the universe. Shiradikaya Priyata Surupita Sushilata Narta Nagana Chaturi Gunali Sampat Kabita Charajate Jagan Mano Mohana Chitta Mohini. This is an argument between a male and female parrot in the Govinda Lilamrita. The male parrot is saying, oh, Krishna is most enchanting. He's completely enchanted Srimati Radharani. She falls under his spell totally. And the female parrot says, no, no, no. Actually, Radharani is the one who enchants Krishna. So they have an argument, and the female parrot wins. So one of the verses that proves that is this one. Shri Radhikaya Priyata Surupita. With all of these qualities, she enchants Krishna, who enchants the whole universe. So the first thing is her love. Her love for Krishna is unmatched in its intensity, its purity, and unwavering. Radhika Priyata Surupita, a beautiful form, the most exquisite feminine beauty that can ever be. Surupita Sushilata, her character, her activities are all very charming and pure and attracting to Krishna. Sushilata Nartanagana Chaturi, her expertise in singing and dancing. Kunali Sampat, she's a veritable treasure chest of transcendental qualities. Kavita Charajate, especially her ability of speaking and composing poetry, shine forth. In all of these qualities, Jaganmano Mohana Chitta Mohini, she delights the mind or enchants the mind of he who enchants the mind of everyone else in the universe. So then it's time for Jagannath Baladev Subhadraji Ki Jai. So there's one prayer that I sometimes offer obeisances to Krishna and Balaram. It's rare to find a obeisance to Krishna and Balaram. But this is from a book called Preyo Rasanava, Bhakti Preyo Rasanava. It's all about Sakya Ras. And this beautiful prayer that was sent to me by a nice sannyasi about obeisance to Krishna Balaram. Let's see if I can remember. Jaladara Shashivarno Gopavesho Kishoro Sahachadagana Vrindai Krijamano Vajesho Natabadajita Vesho Nila Pitambarajo Jagadajana Hetu Rama Krishna Natosmi. I offer my obeisances unto Rama and Krishna, Balaram and Krishna. Jaladara Shashivarno, they have the complexion of a fresh rain cloud and the moon. Balaram has this whitish complexion like moonshine. Krishna is like a fresh rain cloud. Jaladara Shashivarno Gopavesho Kishoro. And they are dressed just like cowherd boys, adolescent cowherd boys. And they are playing very enthusiastically with their friends. Jaladara Shashivarno Gopavesho Sahachadagana Vrindai Krijamano Vajesho. They're playing with their friends, and they are the lords of Vrindavan. Jagadajanana Hetu Rama Krishna Natosmi. No, I missed a line. Vrindai Krijamano Vajesho. Forget the third line. But the last line says, in this way I offer my obeisance to Krishna and Balaram, who the lords of the whole universe. And then, of course, I don't want to forget Lord Nrsingadev. He's there in his picture form of the Mayapur deity. A very important prayer to Lord Nrsingadev. Namaste Ugram Viram Mahavishnam Dwalantam Sarvatom Mukam Nrsingham Bhishanam Badram Mrityu Mityung Namamyaham. So this I understand that when they replace or renew the body of the Jagannath deities once every 12 years, they carve new deities. They chant, a whole bunch of Brahmins get together, South Indian Brahmins, and chant this mantra thousands and thousands of times, 30,000 times. So What it is I'll share it with you. Ugram Viram Mahavishnum. So I offer my obeisances unto Lord Nrsimhadev, who for the demons is very fierce and frightful. Ugram Viram, very, very powerful. Mahavishnum, very powerful Vishnu. Uh, Ugram Veera Mahavishnu Jwalantam Sarvatomukam. He has his faces starting everywhere, and they're blazing. His eyes are blazing in anger at the demons who tormented Prahlad. Jwalantam Sarvatomukam Nishingham, the half man, half lion incarnation. Nishingham Bishanam, very frightful for the demons, but Bhadram, very auspicious for the devotees. And he is Mrityu Mrityam. He's the death of death. In other words, he can award liberation and welcome one into the spiritual world. Mrityu Mrityam Namamiham. I offer my obeisances. So this is a very nice prayer to offer to pictures or deities of Lord Nrsimhadev. And that helps to maintain the meditation. This is right in the nectar of devotion. To come before the deity and offer authorized prayers is very purifying and pleasing to Krishna. So we have many now, many from the Bhagavatam. One of my favorites from Queen Kunti. Queen Kunti is a very dear devotee of Krishna, mother of the Pandavas, and in the 8th chapter, 1st canto, she has a whole bunch of prayers that just before Krishna leaves to go back to Dwarka. So at the end of her prayer, she has this prayer that everyone can learn and offer to Radha Giridhari or Giridhari. Try me nanibishaya mati madhupate sakrit ratamun bhataradha gange bhaugmadanvati. O Madhava, please ever fill my mind with thoughts of thee, not any other kind. As Ganges torrent flows into the sea, let all my love flow constantly to thee. So I'm going to stop here for a little bit. In that case there are any questions or comments, we can take them now. Maybe I can help answer them. My friend Tapas will deliver them. What do we got? Okay. Oh, Dhanavari. Hare Krishna, Dhanavari. So, pure nectar. We are very fortunate to have you in this temple, Hare Krishna. And then, should I keep reading? Sandeep Shah. Hare Krishna. All praise to the devotees. I hope that I don't offend anyone. Do all souls, when they fall from Vaikuntha, start in the same place? Why do we fall from Vaikuntha if it is all bliss? This is a classic question. This is from Sandeep Shah. So, Srila Prabhupada explained in the 9th canto that when we fall from Vaikuntha or fall from Goloka, our first birth is that of Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma doesn't necessarily go back to Godhead. Now our Lord Brahma in this particular universe is going back to Godhead. He spoke the Brahma Samhita. He's the head of the Sampradaya. But not all Brahmas go back to Godhead, and that's why we have so many souls here. So how do we fall? This is the classic question. Why should we leave? What's the point? We're there in the spiritual world, and yes, this is a puzzling fact. But we are. Lord Chaitanya explains when Sanatana Goswami asks in the I think it's the 20th chapter, in the beginning of he surrenders to Lord Chaitanya. He says, "Who am I? Why am I suffering in this world? If I don't know these things, then what's the use of my erudition and my knowledge?" So Lord Krishna answers in this classic verse, Jivera Swarupoi Krishnera Nityadas Jivera Tatasta Shakti Beda Beda Prakash. And then he compares us to little particles of sunshine. So every living entity is by our Swarup, means our actual form and our function is to be eternal servants of Krishna. Jivera Swarupoi Krishnera Nityadas, eternal servants of Krishna. But we are Krishna Tatasta Shakti. Tatasta means we're situated on the margin between the material and the spiritual world. Because we're minute and because we have minute free will, some of us, we have a tendency, a capacity to turn from Krishna and become absorbed in this material world. Now, why would we ever do that? This is a mystery. But this is the way it's explained, that Krishna, he takes a risk. When he emanates all of us, Eko Bahusyam, it is said. The one became many. Of course, it's not, we say when, it seems to be a time, but we've been manifested since eternity. But the idea is Krishna wants to engage in loving devotional, in the loving exchange with his devotees. That's his happiness, raso vaisa, to enjoy rasa. So that must be freely given. There's no question of love. It's love has to be freely given. Otherwise, it's coercion. It's not love. And so that means that we have the freedom not to love Krishna, to try to enjoy this Ladini Shakti, Krishna's pleasure potency, ourselves. And why would we do that? We don't know, but we did. And there's no alternative but to try to regain that position by returning back to Godhead. Now, Krishna says, once going, they never come back. Well, it's like there's a statement, there's a saying in English, once burned, twice shy, meaning that having experienced this material world, we'll really be very reluctant to do what's going to bring us again to this world. This is why sometimes this material world is so painful, or our individual lives in this material world are so painful. We should take the lesson. We don't want to keep doing this again and again. We want to get out. We want to get liberation. The impetus for liberation is very important especially at the beginning of our spiritual lives, to discourage us from postponing, taking it lightly, or ignoring it entirely. This is our great chance as human beings to break out of this prison that we've been in for so long because of our big mistake eons ago. So if you're interested, I can send you. You send me an email at Dravida108 at Gmail. Dravida108. And I will send you a definitive statement. Srila Prabhupada was asked this question again and again, and he wrote an essay describing the understanding of Gaudiya Vaishnava, how this is so. But let it be as a matter of encouragement that once we go back, our whole stay in this world, which could be gone for millions of lifetimes of Brahma, will seem as little as an instant. We'll wake up again and resume our place in our specific relationship, rasa, with Krishna. This is described in that statement. So you send me an email, and I'll send you Srila Prabhupada's exact words explaining this much better than I can. Any more? You mean Dhanavari? Okay. In which chapter and verse the Kunti prayers is there what you just said? Okay, you want the verse? I'll give you the verse in a second. It's in chapter 8 of the first canto. And it'll take me a second to find the exact verse, but I think I can do it. Okay. Well, this is not cooperating. Okay, just give me. You have to write. Oh, wait a minute. Here. Okay. Yeah, right. To find it right now. I should know this by heart, but I can't. Chapter. Okay. Okay, almost there. I didn't bring my. All right. Okay, Bayam. You'll have to write me. Write me. I don't have my iPad with me. Dravida108 at Gmail, and I'll send you the verse. Sorry about that. Anything else? I have to wait 2 minutes? Oh, there's a delay. All right. So while there's this little delay, I'll share with you another poem. This is a very nice meditation at the beginning of the the 21st chapter of the 10th canto called the Venu Gita. And I'll give you the Sanskrit, it's so exquisite. Kusamata Banadari Shishmi Bringat Vidikula Gushta Saraksarin Mahidram Madhapada Davagaya Charikan Sahapashapala Balastakuja Venam Barhapidam Natavanapu Karnayo Karnikaram Bimbrun Vasak Kanaka Kapisham Baijayantim Chamalam Randran Veno Hadada Sudaya Puriyan Gopa Vrindaranyam Swapadanamanam Pravishan Gita Kirti. Vrindavan's rivers, lakes, and hills ring out with charming hums and trills as flocks of birds and maddened bees rejoice among the flowering trees. To those idyllic woods and glens repairs Govinda with his friends Sri Rama and the cowherd boys to taste the most exquisite joys. And as they walk along the way, absorbed in herding and in play, Sri Krishna, beauty absolute, begins to blow his mystic flute. With peacock plume upon his head and fragrant flower on each ear, he enters Braj's woods with tread sublime, a dancer without peer. His golden yellow raiment glows, his garland reaches to his knees, and from his lips the nectar flows and fills his flute with melodies. As Krishna thus begins his day with friends who sing his glory sweet, he beautifies the forest way with fine impressions of his feet. Samadhi culminates in this, to always see this scene of bliss within oneself and outside too. May Krishna give this boon to you. Hare Krishna. So that wasn't 2 minutes. Okay. It won't do any good for you to read it to me because I won't understand. Where is it? Sandeep Shah. Whoops. Hare Krishna. This question can wait until I read the essay. If the goal of this life is to return to Vaikuntha, then is it time? Is it time before we fall again? No, we will not fall again. Krishna promises that in the Bhagavad Gita. Once going there, we never come back. We'll never make that mistake again. But you send me the email. I'll send you that essay. Hare Krishna. So, are we done? Hare Krishna, thank you for your attention. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.